Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sree. Iyer. Joining me are the three good generals as always, General Shankar, General Dushyant Singh, and General Rajiv Narayanan. To all three of you good generals, thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule to join us today. Sir, today we have a very interesting topic. So I'm hoping that all three of you can dissect this thing. What is the US to India? An ally, an adversary, a frenemy, a partner, or what else? Is it becoming a straight enemy? Is just a small cabal of people influencing Trump, and have they got it horribly wrong? So we're going to talk about all these things. Let's start with welcoming all three of you. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
So we have a couple of slide decks, and that's going to come a little bit behind. We're going to start, as always, with our Sunil Gavaskar, General Ravi Shankar, and he's going to be setting the stage.
Okay.
Over to you, sir.
Right. Thank you. I think as India,
Sir, just give me 1 second. One second, sir. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. This is being streamed live on 3 channels. P Gurus, of course, Gunner Shot, and the cross channel, which is called Strategic Front Lines. Strategic Front Lines. I'd wish that every one of you subscribe to all 3, because these are not, only a few programs overlap. The rest of the stuff is unique, and each one has a different perspective. Please do subscribe to all 3 channels. Thank you so much. Sorry for the rude interruption, sir. I should have said this thing, but I forgot. Strategic Frontlines, Gunner Shot, and P Gurus. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Mr. Shreyar, and a very good evening to my co-panelists and also audience. At the outset, I'd like to tell everyone that India is at a crossroads of its strategic choices or the way forward. All right, because we are facing a very piquant situation. In the past few days, what one has seen is that the Trump administration has come very hard at India. Prima facie, the reaction from India has also been emotive and probably justifiably emotive, and we are pushing back. No doubt. There is a rising anti-American sentiment within India. Let's not have any doubts. At the same time, China has made overtures to India because it sees an opportunity, and we are responding. But this places it at a difficult situation. Let me explain this. First, let me concentrate on USA, and then I'll come to China. Because it will be wrong on our part, and in fact, I will be horribly wrong if you only look at Trump and USA. Right? We need to be balanced. This is a time when India needs to be balanced in its choices. Right? Let's first analyze USA. What is USA to us? And this is a question which I asked this very words. Is it my ally? Is it my partner? Is it my adversary, or is it my enemy? I asked this 10 days back when all 4 of us discussed. As things have gone, one thing for sure, we've never been anyone's ally. And America, by no stretch of imagination, is it our enemy. It was our partner. In fact, it was a strategic partner. And this global strategic partnership started 25 years back. Good, bad, or ugly, that partnership has just evaporated with what the Trump administration has done over the just past 2 weeks, or a precipitated action ever since Op Sindoor took place. So we are not strategic partners. Are we adversaries? There is adversarial content coming from certain sections of the Trump administrations. Let's not lose sight of that. There are Scott Bessent, Peter Navarro, Caroline Leavitt, and backed by some obnoxious comments by and tweets of calling India a dead economy by the Trump administration or Mr. Trump himself. So there is a mix of both. There's a adversarial content and the partnership content is going off. the tendency would be, or the normal thinking would be, oh, if he's no more my partner, he's my adversary or my enemy. And this is what USA always does. It stabs us in the back. You can't take it for granted. We have to look at two realities. The first reality is, and you can't get away from that reality. And the first reality is that over the past 25 years, the India-US relationship is gone very deep. It is in space, it is in defense. And yesterday evening in my podcast on Gunnershot, I mentioned there are about 20 programs on. If today USA becomes your enemy or your adversary, all those 20 programs, and that combined is about $50 to $100 billion worth of equipment, which is on contract, which provides us capability, is at risk. Right? So it's very deep, our relationship. You have a deep relationship in digital and digitized services, R&D, and things like that. Today, a lot of American markets are invested in Indian corporations. There's no going back from that. If India has to be adversarial to America, there are a whole lot of things which will come into focus. So we have to be very careful as to what we are talking of. Right? At the same time, the trade relationship which is being defined by the Trump administration suggests that we are no more going to be partners. Right? So we have to be careful. So you have this situation. And I'll best describe this relationship as one word, Trump's word, transactional. In my way of thinking, India and America are transactional entities. I've said the strategic partnership is out. That I have no doubt. We are transactional entities because we are committed to each other. Anyone who looks at just the trade between India and USA is drawing the wrong and the foolish conclusion. You have to look at the bigger picture. There is a large section of American thinking which has started pushing back on their own administration. And if you see today's article by Nikki Haley in Newsweek, she's talked a lot of sense. Being a Republican, she did give some leeway to Trump, but she's spoken a lot of sense. And this coming from Nikki Haley is big. And people like John Bolton and Jeffrey Sachs, or for that matter, John Mearsheimer, all of them are pushing back. So there is going to be a pushback within. So there is going to be a dichotomous thinking within America. And a lot of America still feel India is their strategic partner. So let's not, but this dichotomy is something which we have to handle. We need a relationship with that part of America where we have trade relations and many other relations and strategic relations. And you have an administration which is adversarial. So so we have to be transactional. Right. Now look at the Chinese thing. The moment this happened, the Chinese have quickly jumped in with some nudging from Russia, and they've opened their arms. Then he lands up here. Suddenly, demarcation and delimitation of the border is being spoken of without much substance in it. Right? Good talk. A few sops are being thrown in, your rare earths and tunnel boring machines and fertilizers and everything. And today, if you see what the Chinese ambassador has spoken, he's already spoken of double engine Sarkar type. He's put that out and they said 2 engines of growth, global engines of growth. And he's lining up a heaven for us. Is he opening a new partnership? Definitely China is not our ally. It was it is not our enemy because that's not where we are. It was adversarial to us. Today he's trying to become your partner. Okay? Right. And there's a huge outreach in places like Global Times, YEWO, all that. And as a rebound, it's a natural rebound. right? Our prime minister also says, look, I'm going to SEO and I look forward to talks and all that. And the shrillness, I wouldn't say the shrillness, the voice from China says RIC. They're talking of it openly. And as we talk, our external affairs ministers in Russia and certain statements have come out where he's pushed back against Scott Bessent on many issues. But you look behind, there's another China which is behind, which is pushing back against this narrative. That China, which is in their media, he says all this is fine, but there are fundamental problems. There are fundamental problems within India and China relationship, right? And will China, it's not China, it will India fall in line with the Chinese expectations, right? So where does that leave you? This is where it is. Whatever the administration has taken in both countries, their people are taking the opposite side. Understand this. You know, the noise or the messaging from the Chinese government and the American government is in one line. Then the talk and the background noise or music from both the populations is in the opposite direction. Before we jump into China or abandon USA. And if you look at it, both are not prepared to give up on Pakistan. This fellow has immediately jumped. Just for diplomatic nicety, he went to Afghanistan, Wangi, tried to make good the relationship between Afghanistan and Pakistan. And then today he's in Pakistan trying to see how to expand the CPEC, which is completely against your interests. Okay? And this is where we are. It is just not USA being ally partner strategic thing. I think we are in a bigger issue, right? And you look at the equation with Russia. As we speak, Mr. Jaishankar has given out a statement and Lavrov has also spoken something. Things will come out. We've said we'll do trade, all that, but that's also loaded. And that what is loaded in that will come out next week. We'll talk of that. But you look at outside this. This is the core of the situation where we are. Look outside this core of China and India and Russia. The French president has come openly said, look, we have to increase our trade between India and France. The Brazilian president has very clearly said we should talk and they're moving forward because Brazil and India are in the same boat. There is a FTA with the Eurasian, Europe. We have signed a FTA with UK. There are some talks with Europe also, the balance of the West Europe. And our Prime Minister, immediately after the SEO, is going to Japan. Japan and Brazil have the same problems with USA and China. So we have to start looking at things a little more in a balanced manner and see where we get our balance. So we could discuss USA. Why I gave this kind of a thing is that it will not be possible for us to get out of the US partnership. It will not be easy for us to get out of that adversity either. Just to give you one important thing that the USA doesn't stand with us, let me go back in history. You know, our Green Revolution. Who started the Green Revolution? The Green Revolution was through American technology. When Norman Borlaug came here, way back in 63, if I remember my date right. And it was Mr. Swaminathan Dr. Swaminathan who brought him here with the Mexican variety of wheat.
Correct.
Which is the short stalk and long corns, which ushered in the Green Revolution. So those of us who feel that USA never stood by us, let's be balanced. I agree that USA was our opposite entity in 71, but equally it helped us out in Kargil war, right? It was thanks to Clinton and the way he handled Pakistan that the Kargil war ended in absolute victory for us. So we need to be balanced. Good times come and good times go. Bad times come, bad times go. But a new opening has happened. A new vista is opening in front of us, and we need to take action accordingly. Thanks a lot for this opening. I hope my opening, batting has been okay. So let's continue the discussion. I'll let the middle order play now.
65 for no loss at lunch.
I'm the finisher. I'm the finisher.
Yes, you are Mr. Dhoni. Now let's go on to GR Vishwanath. General Dushyant
Yeah.
Singh, you have a small presentation also, so go over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. The opening order has done its bit, and it has taken some of my thunder out. Doesn't matter. Thunders are to be stolen, and if the minds are the same, possibly you will find we're talking of the same thing over and over again. So what I'll do is I'll not stress upon the issues which Jan Shankar has already touched upon. In fact, the first word which he uttered was was the first word in my slide: ties at crossroads. So this was not made up. This was like exactly what he spoke and what I told. So ties are really at a crossroad. But I would like to differ only in one sense, in that I won't call it as of today this kind of relation which we are going through with the US as transactional. I would say that it is going through a churn, and that today we are going through that samudra manthan which is taking place, where real friends and real allies, enemies, whatever you want to call it in terms of the phrases which we have used, will emerge after a while as to who is the one with whom you can really depend upon. While I understand that in in international relations there are no permanent friends and no permanent enemies, but only permanent interests. But still, there is some amount of, I should say, continuity in India's approach to international relations, which has been strategic autonomy. But to me, it looks like, I think, I may be wrong, that the strategic autonomy seems to be also our problem, in the sense that the world thinks in more or less thinks in the black and white. Either you are with me or you are with the other side. The only people who kind of adjust to us are the Russians and or earlier the USSR. And if you go and I'll add another factor into this strategic autonomy bit is the Israelis. They may be doing whatever they are doing. They may be criticized for whatever they are doing. But in respect of India, right from 1962 onwards till date, whether undercover, whether nuanced, or whatever it is, they have been standing up with us. So I think we need to identify our solid backers, and this is the time which we should take, as far as we are concerned, to go ahead and look forward to. You see, strategic autonomy is being put at some kind of a guillotine because of our purchase of S-400, because of our participation in BRICS, because of RIS. Sorry, it should have been RIC and SCO. Now, amongst all this, in my opinion, I think we also need to develop a positive narrative here, both for the West and the East. Rather than saying non-East, non-West, I would say we are the bridge. And we have to convince this to both the Western Bloc and the Eastern Bloc that, look, we are the ones who can control either side. And this is happening in some form or the other. If you look at Prime Minister Modi, even for that Alaska meet, he spoke to both Zelensky as well as President Putin. Definitely, if we don't have any major leverage with Zelensky, we do have some amount of leverage with President Putin. So therefore, I think we need to really propagate our unique position today. I think India is the only one which has this kind of a position. Why aren't we selling it? That's my second point. South Asian dynamics. I feel that because of the advisors which you have all mentioned, Jan Shankar has also mentioned, Peter Navarre, Scott Bessent, etc. These guys are somehow ill-advising Trump, in the sense that they have totally lost the focus of Indo-Pacific and shifted their entire attention to West Asia and South Asia, just because of one or two factors which have happened, or one or two developments which have happened. So you find that suddenly The US is interested in Bangladesh, it is interested in Myanmar, it is interested in Pakistan, it is interested in containing Afghanistan. So a whole lot of focus is shifted from PACOM commander seems to be absolutely either the personality of the PACOM commander is not a imposing personality, or Kurila before he retired he wanted to create this buzz around South Asia, West Asia, and he kind of succeeded in this particular approach. And if you see the activities which he did from the last before he retired, I think it points to that. So we need to flesh out our entire narrative from the way it is going on internationally. And here I would recommend the diplomatic core to really come up. The diplomatic core, in my view, has been actually doing a catch-up game. It is no more proactive. I'm convinced of that. Deteriorating trust. Now, this is something which, in my opinion, maybe when did it got triggered? I don't know, but most of the people are saying it was around the Op Sindhu. Uh, whether we afflicted something which the US couldn't digest, that of course our finisher and the pinch hitter of our team, General Rajiv Narayanan will bear with me and try to elaborate on this particular issue. Maybe it has hurt this US very dearly, and that could be one of the reasons, because I found that as a turning point in the relationship. That's an inflection point. Op Sindoor has been a inflection point in the entire relationship between India and the US. Coming down to the risks, what are the risks which are there? We do understand that sparing China was more of a tactical decision by the Americans, because they are currently dependent on rare earth and minerals, and Trump is kind of, wherever there is some rare earth issue, he comes flocking to that particular place. So maybe as of now he's trying to make India an example and get the others to follow his current onslaught on. Either you are with me, or you and do a trade as per my conditions, or you are not with me. So they found India as the as an entity which can actually which cannot majorly affect America. So maybe that is why America has chosen India to single us out. Time will tell. Last bit is risk. In my opinion, as Jan Shankar had said, the risks for India are heavy in this place. And I'm going to cover this exactly the same issue in the next slide of mine. There are 8 agreements which are continuous, which are currently going on, and they have proved handy to India in some form or the other in our whether it is our capability development, or whether it is assistance during operations. I mean, you can name them. There are so many of them. So I will cover these. The 8 agreements. The first agreement, which was signed in 2002. I mean, again, you have to look at Atal Bihari Vajpayee's foresight also, that probably he thought that we need to have a balance in our international relations. So that was the general security of military information sharing, where we were sharing military intelligence with each other. Then came the LEMOA. Now, LEMOA is Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, which essentially ensures that both sides can use each other's military bases, but it is non-binding, so it can be suspended anytime at the wish and discretion of the two countries. So here we are whereas GSMOI is a kind of a treaty, so that will hold, but the LEMOA is something which can be suspended. So we should be ready for more of these kind of actions which might take place if we are in a current mode of resisting. I'm not saying we should not resist. We should resist, but we must have the alternatives. It's like a chess game. We have to continue to play our chess game. Comcasa. Now, this arrangement has been quite helpful to us in terms of interoperability, etc. So, this is the next big agreement we had. BECA. Now, BECA, as you all know, came handy to us opposite China a few years back, if all of you know. Sharing of satellite imagery, etc., information, space-related intelligence, which has actually increased our enhancing. It has actually resulted in enhancing the precision and accuracy. What you saw in Op Sindhu, our accuracy of hitting targets, etc., I think we need to give a lot of credit to Beka as well. SOSA, security of supply arrangement, impacted by Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, what SOSA, the problem with SOSA is that it can be impacted by our drive for Atmanirbhar Bharat. It doesn't mean that we should not push for Atmanirbhar Bharat. This is why I brought this point in here, is that when I interacted with few of these think tanks in the US, they kept on insisting on our doing away with technology transfer, and this would have finally got culminated into some kind of a action point in the White House. And so White House would have said, okay, if that be so, let's go ahead headstrong against the Americans. So while we are right on our point of view that we need to be Atmanirbhar Bharat, so therefore technology transfer is a kind of a non-negotiable strategy as far as we are concerned in terms of procurement of weapons and equipment from the Americans. So this agreement can also be turned around. Memorandum of understanding agreement. This is, I think, most of the people don't know about it. This was a very, very positive arrangement which was made between India and America, where we started posting officers in the various headquarters of the American armed forces. We've got officers in SOCOM, we've got officers in PACOM, we've got officers. So wherever it matters, whether it is Tempa or whether it is Hawaii, I think we were trying to somehow create a ecosystem whereby both the countries would become almost like an equal partner. Now, MEMOA is also non-binding, so it can be at the wish of either country, not only India. It can be US also. Both can withdraw from it. So these are some of the positive steps which possibly will suffer, and hence we need to be prepared for these setbacks. And the last bit is about industrial security annexee. It is a annexure of the General Security of Military Information GSOMI agreement. This agreement also is kind of non-binding, and it is further adding to the sharing of intelligence, sharing of information, etc. If you look at it, in the end, I forgot there was one more issue, and that was about, and that got hidden by the slides length, and that is about the industrial. No, go to the previous one. I'll tell you the point what it was. Our agreement about industrial cooperation, defense cooperation. We call it as DTTI. Now, in that, I said Indus-X. These were the cooperative agreements which were slated to be pushed forward for technology transfer. They have started taking a beating already. So we now have to find alternate partners, and therefore our overtures to Russia, our overtures to France, as General Shankar brought out, overtures to Israeli, I won't say overtures, our outreach to Israelis must get intensified, so that in case in the temporary phase where this churn is taking place, we have our alternative means going around. If you're not getting the GE14, so be it. We should start working this saffron. So what I am trying to get at is that situation is going through a churn, and to overcome this churn, we must continuously fight for our short-term gains. I mean, it's no good if you just sanction 92 Tejas, but how will the 92 Tejas come on in the air unless we get the engines? So these are some of the problems which we have to really face in a much more practical manner. So I have finally, this is my last bit. We need to have a responsible approach, mature and firm response to Trump, not stoop down to the US level, Scott Bessent and Peter Navarre, etc. We need to exploit the other voices which are there. And it is here that I would like to sincerely request the government of India to start having a strong lobby or lobby operations in the US. You just compare Pakistan and India. There's a colossal difference, 20 million to 600 million. Country which can't even buy its food or look after its people is spending $600 million on lobbying, and we are just spending about 20 million. I think we need to increase our voices. These will become beneficial to us in the long term. While P gurus and people like us are trying to lobby, but our lobbies are not going to the right place. Leveraging ongoing relations with China against the US. I'm not saying that we should go lock, stock, barrel at China, but let's put the pressure. Let's put the counter pressure on the US. That you are not the only option for us. So we, in the temporary period, the churn period, do have some kind of a reach out to China, which we are trying to do. Maintain a working relationship with the US, diversify trade and exports, apply counter tariffs if required. And I'm saying, unless we show our teeth ourselves, a bully always will bully you if you cow down. So we need to be a kind of a bully ourselves as well. So selectively we do it, but without shouting like the Americans do. Then we have China should be engaged to find, if this is an opportunity, if this is a threat to us from America, why not use this as an opportunity with China to really get them onto the table for the boundary issue. So every opportunity, every threat has the opportunity. This, in my view, is one of the opportunities. Leverage China's relationship with the US. I've already told. Deepen the cooperation with Russia. There is no doubt about it. It has stood the test of time. I think the Russians are the best bet as far as we are concerned in terms of having some stability as far as our capability and capacity building is concerned. Brace up for some rough seas. Look at new opportunities. Work seriously towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. Do not rule out any security and diplomatic options. And here I mean what most of the people will understand, that all the options are there on the table. If we have to do certain thing, so might as well we do it. We don't have to, write it like in the 1945 article of the United States of America, which says that in the interest of international relations, we can undertake covert operations. They are telling it in the white and the open, and they said this in 1945 after the World War. We can always have all options up our sleeve if required to be exercised, and also look at it. So what if they met in Afghanistan, Kabul, with Pakistan and Afghanistan and China? We do also have some leverages with Afghanistan, Iran, Israel. We should leverage those and try to keep our current growth rate, current stability, current security matrix going despite US. Thank you.
Thank you so much, General Dushyant Singh. I have an alternative view on who could be driving this thing rather than the trade lobby. I'll come to that. Let's first listen to our Mahendra Singh Dhoni, General Rajiv Narayanan.
Okay, while I agree with both the good generals, I have a different take on why India. Can I have the slide, please?
Yeah, sir.
Now, we have all heard of Mackinder's Heartland, Spikeman's Rimland, and Alfred Thayer Mahan's Sea Power. US has been using all three to dominate the world ever since the end of Second World War. By dominating the Rimland and the Sea Power at some point in time, they have been hoping that they will be able to manage the pivot area, especially after USSR fell, but now faces a rising power in Rimland, which is India, on which it has very limited hold. Okay, now I will go to a wonderful book. Why? Okay, let us first look at what are the resources in the pivot area, the heartland. This is what Russia is sitting on, which US is hiding. And it has always wanted its MNCs to control this. It almost got it under Yeltsin till Putin stepped in. And this is what it is. They felt that Ukraine war, this chap would fall away and they'll be able to dominate. His deal fell through because when he spoke to Russia said, fine, we will give you all the minerals, everything available in areas we control. Because that is where in Ukraine the bulk of it is available, even the rare earth. But where the talks fell away was the Americans wanted their MNCs to do it, and Russians said, no, we will give you. And also agriculture. We should not forget about the agriculture which is available in Russia. Ukraine, that has been taken over. Now, this is the book, The Rise and Fall of Great Powers, Paul Kennedy, written in 87. It talks of a 400-year cycle, and I've tried to bring out why US fears. Because any resident power will always fear a rising power. So I'll just explain it. The 100-year cycle. Right at the bottom is 0 or 400. And I've broken it up into 50 years cycle. From 350 till 50, this is the period of weakness of any country, which is strong, which can rise. It's not for all countries. From 50 to 150 is the cusp of your rise. You're rising. It's not easy at that time to curb you, but attempts will be done to curb you. This is the cusp of the rise, that nations are rising. This is where you say a rising nation. 150 to 250 years. This is you're at the period of your power. And after that starts the cusp of decline. The decline starts because there is some power which is coming up. That's how the decline starts. And the decline starts because the people who have generations who have worked through this to bring you up, the others have coasted and the decline commences. They don't understand what all it entails, how much sacrifice it entails. Fear of body bags in US. All this was not achieved without body bags. The US didn't achieve all this without body bags. Now when you have a fear of body bags, that is where your cusp of decline starts. And then you come to the period of weakness. So why do you fear? On this I have superimposed. US is here, right at the cusp of decline. And we can see it. Where is Bharat? You are in the middle of the cusp of the rise, somewhere in the middle. 77th year or 79th year of independence, 78th anniversary. Western Europe is well in decline. Even today, when you say G7, when it was made, that was the 7 top economies. Today, China and India, which are in the top 7 economy, are not part of G7. What do Italy or others contribute in G7? And what do they bring to the table? PRC was also on the cusp of rise. But due to poor policies, it can slip into the lower curve. That's where the struggle is. Why he is reaching out to you to get your market to be able to help himself. Russia is at the lower end, coming into the cusp of rise. But because of the vast resources he enjoys, he punches high. Nothing else. It is the phenomenal amount of oil, energy and resources that he has, he punches that high. And it is in this backdrop that it is not China which is slipping, it is Bharat, India which is rising, that US is directly targeting. In fact, Caroline, the PES secretary, she didn't talk as India has been tariffed. She openly stated India has been sanctioned. We are sanctioning India is her statement.
That's right.
Okay. So Thucydides' trap was there when they would fight. US doesn't want body bags, so it's a geo-economic. Now the tariff war. I would like people to read Heritage report or a study which was done, published in 2023, Project 25. It was for a unitary type of command, clearly telling that the people in your team should not be selected on merit, but should be selected on loyalty to you. That's what Trump is doing. And it was for Trump. It's a Republican project. Heritage is a Republican Party thing. In that, in foreign policy, Mr. Navarro, I will just quote him what he says. He calls a fair trade policy of reciprocal higher tariffs on the European Union, China and India to achieve a balance of trade. Understand the tariff war? It's written there. This is not what Trump is doing. This is what the Heritage think tank has written and told. And most of the things that he has been doing is, I'm not telling that he's exactly following it, but he's following most of it. See, there is the contrarian view also. Kent Lassman of the competitive enterprise, he says no, you can't do it because of dependency. So a free trade policy of lowering and eliminating tariffs to cut costs for US consumers is in the best interest. So there is an alternate voice there, but that has not been listened to by Trump. Okay, so there much more for internal and their banks. When we talk about he's suddenly coming up and talking of stablecoin, this project tells connecting the dollar back to the gold. So there is a lot of study which the Republican think tank has done, from which he has taken the page and tried to do it. Now, I will just mention why Russia does not trust PRC. Now, this I had also discussed earlier in P Guru's channel. They are very clear. They have made out a plan if Russia loses the Ukraine war and if Putin goes. First is they will give full support. This is the reverse now. The Russian Communist Party Soviet Communist Party was the one who established the Chinese Communist Party in 27. Now, 21 rather. Now the reverse. They will support the Communist Party to gain full control of, they will control Russia thereafter. Heartland, the pivot area, so that the West doesn't come in. And in case there is a pro-Western government in Moscow, they will break Russia away, that Asian part of Russia, bring their Communist Party of Russia will be weaned away from there, brought there, and made as an independent country called Eastern Russia, controlled by China. And Siberia and the Arctic, most of it will get controlled by them. And that's where a whole lot of minerals lie. They have been spoken to. They have not taken this out, but this report is there at the highest level in the Communist Party of China. So that is one of the reasons why Russia does not trust China, and it is transactional. And we should also not trust. People have spoken. Just look at that. Comes out and says the border issue is solved. Where is it solved? It's still there. If it was solved, why did you come for talks? So we have to be very careful of the dragon. My look at it that US faced two options. Partner with a revisionist India, it slows down its decline. And from 2000, they have been doing it. Partnering with you, going ahead with you. Look at all the agreements that he flashed, and General Shankar has, those 20 agreements. These are part of this 25 years of engagement and partnering with India. Reason being, yes, understand that they can delay the decline, but even if you revise the institutions with bringing in India, those institutions will sustain for the 21st century. And they are very clear that they want to curb the rise of a revanchist China, because China is going to change all the institutions. Russian relations is where the problem is. Control of resources versus partnering it. And they have gone to fighting for control of resources. Now, this was followed till Trump 2.0. Bipartisan. Yes, some followed more, some followed less, but bipartisan, this is what has been followed. Now look at option 2, which is the fallout of the Project 25. Curb the rise of both Bharat and China, tariff trade war, force allies to secure its economy, the tariffs on their allies, trade war on their allies, create chaos in the rimland to get governments that will abide by it. Most places has got, is not getting it in India. Pakistan to just change tack, jumped from China, and yes sir, 3 bags full. Relations with Russia has been the same. It is being followed by Trump 2.0, but the results don't look happy for USA. So what? Like what General Shankar said and what General Dushyant said, be mature, don't burn your bridges with USA. Let's be very clear. Like I said, we are on the cusp of the rise. He may be starting on the cusp of decline, but still he still has power. He still has a lot to help you out with. You're still rising. So whom to speak to? MNCs, they're ready to work with you. Wall Street, there's so much of investment they have done in your country. They are getting worried. There are Sena voices within. General Shankar has spoken about it. Reach out to them, speak to them. You just need to tide over this turbulent period till where he's there. In what manner? But concurrently, like you said, secure and protect your exports, diversify. A lot of people who are wanting to come to you are looking at that third country rebranding and selling. Like, for example, Canada is reaching out to you for garments. He'll rebrand it and sell it in US. You make money, he makes money. Saudi Arabia, UAE are reaching out to you for diamonds. They have their bursarship there. They will rebrand it and sell it to USA. So these talks are also going on with a whole lot of countries. Yes, impetus to make in India, for India, and to export in A and B. The MNCs are going to face a lot of problem because 2 days ago, yesterday only, Trump was making a statement with his supporters that he's going to increase the tariff of steel by 25% more. Ford is shifting to Canada. Boeing is getting worried. Where should he go? He's looking at India. Where should he go? So this is the time to get them. They'll come, make in India. More outreach to West Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean nations, secures influence in global south. Should we look at expansion of BRIC and go ahead with it? But the first point which I have said, don't burn your bridges with US just because of one man and a small group of us who are doing this. They are not looking at the saner points that have been given in Project 25. They have gone for the aggressive points that have been given in Project 25. A balance has not been maintained. Who to go aggressive against and who to be balanced with, that has not been done. So we should not get carried away by what Mr. Trump is doing or his small team is doing. Don't burn your bridges. That is what I would say.
Thank you so much, General Rajiv. I have a couple of things to add to our conversation here. The first one is, if you go back and look at around 1999-2000 period, why did Boris Yeltsin choose Putin? He chose Putin because Putin was not a communist and he was not aligned with the West either. So he said, I'm going to make you the successor, and always remember Russia is your primary interest. And I think Putin has really consolidated the Russia. And I think there is also a dividend that goes to all the populace now from the oil riches. So the population itself has, it's like a rising tide lifts all the boats. The population feels like they have had a good time in at least the last decade or so under Putin. And I'd love to hear from somebody from Crimea, because they are now 10 years under Russia, how their life has changed because they have been annexed by Russia. They have been annexed by Russia. So that's one point I wanted.
Within Russia, just to interrupt you, within Russia at the moment, Putin's acceptancy as the president is at 83%.
Yes, very true.
That's
very true.
That's his popularity.
And the second viewpoint on what could be really getting Trump's goat. So, generals, we know that there were 3 areas that were very, very nuclear sensitive. And let's say that United States did not put boots on the ground. But then what would they have done? They would have put PMCs, private military contractors. Let's assume for a moment that there were private military contractors and all these 3 sites. Assume that, to have even a basic thing going, you're going to have 10 people minimum. So if you take a look at it and you do the math from that, at least 30 people perished from these 3 strikes. And that would have got the alarm bells ringing for that general. I don't know, he just retired recently. And I believe that he is the one who lit the fuse under Pete Hegseth, because Pete Hegseth is the defense secretary. And they thought that, US doesn't sell its state-of-the-art arms equipment to other countries. It only gives like 1 rev, 2 revs behind, like what they did to Ukraine. Now that part, that sales, what you can call as it's like malai, because you don't have to do much, but you can get rid of all your old equipment, and then you can use that money to buy new. So that part is under real risk because of the way Opsandhu demonstrated India's prowess. So this could be also one main reason. So these conflicting views are coming. Who is really doing what? Be that as it may, these are the two things that we have. Now I'd request the three generals to do conclusion, and then we can go to questions. We are reaching about 20 questions. That would take even 1 minute per question, about 20 to 25 minutes. So conclusion, 2 minutes for each person. General Ravi Shankar.
Look, I go with all the points which have come out. There's no, discussion on those. The fact is, there is a Project 25. There's a heritage thing. They have a long-term plan. If you look at the Democrats, they also have the same plan. It's mirrored. There's nothing different, right? The only problem in America, my way of looking at it is, you see, the captain of this whole plan is useless. He's completely consumed by his own ego, and he's not able to deliver. And that all these contradictions are coming in, and that's where it is. The Trump and his ego, they have to play in, isn't it? So that's the contradiction. Look at it the other way around in China. There it is Xi Jinping and his ego. Please understand, I'm going back to China because that's consequential to us. It's not America alone, right? Xi Jinping and his ego and his economics, which he's practicing every second day in China, are pulling it down. And they also don't have a choice but to get out. And they don't have a choice to trade with each other. Please understand. Forget about Russia. And Russia is very clear that it will trade on its terms. Okay? Even to us, Russia is trading at its terms. So if we think we'll make headway with Russia, forget it, we will not. Putin is too smart for it. So we are at this particular juncture. And this is a difficult juncture. This is a juncture which we've never faced. And we have to rise. And our rise is given. I'm giving you this thing, maybe too optimistic. It is given. It can't be stopped. Because 1.4 billion people, educated, ambitious, and aspiring, can't be stopped. The fact is, how do we go from here? Already you see certain amount of external interference appearing in terms of narratives and pointing fingers at others, internal cohesion, think tanks, not thinking, all those nonsense, insinuations are coming in. You have to have internal strength for this. You need to develop internal strength. That's the first thing. The second point, reforms. Right? Reforms. If that internal strength has to come through brute strength, so be it. If it has to come through consensus, better. But if consensus is not there, I'm sure, given the fact that, one trusts the Prime Minister because he's done all the right things, right? I do trust him because he's my Prime Minister, as simple as that. Forget about the political issues. He's my Prime Minister. If push comes to shove, he needs to put a heavy hand on others, like our earlier Prime Ministers have done, right? Dissent and, all this backstabbing which is started. You can see this. And these are all external instigations. Need to be shaved off and do your reforms and go ahead. You have no choice, right? You have no choice. You have to go forward because the bridge behind is burnt. Because the comfort of whatever happened earlier is gone. You need to build new bridges with USA. You can't get away from them. You can't get away from them. You can't get away from USA. You need to build new bridges, but at the same time, you need to build some kind of bridges with China so that you don't get into a war. And in this next period up to 2047, if that is our aspiration, you need to ensure that you don't get into war. Don't get sidetracked by this idiot Mullah Munir and Pakistan. They are just nuisance value and leave it at that. And of course, build the larger ecosphere, which I've said so. This all I had to conclude with today.
Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. Now over to you, General Dushyant Singh.
Yeah, I think I also tend to agree with what all has been discussed till now, except for 2-3 points which I would like to emphasize. First, I feel that it's too early for us to take a stance. That's the first point which I would emphasize on. We need to assess the situation as we go along. At the same time, keep our burner on, in the sense that we cannot be just waiting and waiting for people to act and then we react. We need to act also. The next issue is, it's a difficult time for India, and earlier we realized this, the better it is for us. It seems that we do not have any options, but we do have options if we look deeper. So I would go by that old adage of the Indian army, actually, that when the going gets tough,
The tough get going.
this is the time for India to get going. And in this get going bit, when I heard the 15th August speech of Prime Minister Modi, I realized that out of the entire 104 minutes, it was the longest speech which he has given till date. I think the bulk of the speech was focused on national security, and in that too, military security. I think the government's focus as of today, remember he said, growth के लिए सुरक्षा जरूरी है. It has never been said earlier. This is something which means that he's ready to invest in hard power. Till now, he was always saying world is one, Vishwaguru, yoga, all those things. I think he realizes that unless you wield a big stick, nobody will be bothered about you. So it's a good change which has happened. I hope it gets translated into concrete actions. Going by whatever little knowledge which I have, by virtue of the way I am placed, we are going towards that direction in a very, very serious manner. There will always be challenges. I think every country, if it doesn't have challenge, it will not be able to understand the value of performing under stress. So I feel that we are on the right path. And the last point which I want to bring out is that let's change our narrative to being a bridging power. Let's sell ourselves as a power that can actually mend and not burn the bridges which are
Bridges.
already. So I would end here with these 4-5 quick comments. I think we will grow, and we will grow quite confidently.
Thank you so much, General Dushyant. And now 5 overs to go, 75 runs to get. Over to you, Captain Dhoni.
Okay.
So you bring out that point which he left, Sree Iyerji, about
Yes.
the 3 sides.
Yes. So would you like to comment on that? PMCs.
So essentially,
PMC.
essentially what we are seeing, where he has realized I'll take it from where General Dushyant said that for the first time ever, essentially we have always been talking in all platforms that Samriddhi doesn't come without being Surakshit. If you're not Surakshit, you will not be Samriddhi. The first time ever he has made a mention, and the inflection point was obsolete.
That's right.
Where while earlier he may have felt yes, the armed forces can do it, this was the first time he realized, yeah, I have an armed force which is international standard. The world is worried about it. And so he talked about the Sudarshan Chakra Kavach and the Rashtra Suraksha Kavach. While the Sudarshan Chakra Kavach is going to be for the BMD and multiple all over your air defense protection, the Rashtra Suraksha Kavach, people have missed the point. He talks of security of your critical infrastructure and public places. That means it is internal security.
National security armor.
Yes. So that is your internal security plus external security, and Sudarshan Chakra Kavach is part of that Rashtra Suraksha Kavach, not independent of it.
Yeah.
Integrated completely. And this is the time I feel, I'm sure they must be doing it. We have for a number of years now. It started when? In 2005 15 or 16 they have started. It's 10 years now, equivalent to what the Americans used to have with Andrew Marshall in ONA, but that used to be with the president. This net assessment cell is there in NSCS. It is also there in IDS, but there is one there in NSCS headed by a major general. They must get in touch with Niti Aayog also and do a net assessment of the situation and give out what should be our short-term, medium-term and long-term strategies that we are going to do. The core strategy, the basic strategy, the heading strategy, and that can be done. It won't take a long time if you have a dedicated team sitting there. Within 2-3 months, they'll give you, even as you are trying to tide over by creating all the funds and helping out the people and talking to the countries to take it forward for the next 10-15 years, what you want to do. Mid-term, short-term, medium-term, long-term, I think that should be done. And as it is, all the relationships are turning more and more transactional today. But yes, while it is going transactional, you have trust on two of them today, except only two of them today, which is Russia and Israel. Will France be dependable with Safran? During the war, he was refusing to give you the code. After that, he gave you the code because you put it on Su. So he realized that if he doesn't do it, then you might not buy Rafael, you might go for Su-57, nothing else. Again, it is transactional. For them also, it is transactional. So when you do a net assessment, you will be able to assess how to go about, where to go about, what to go about. Because within that, you'll have your dime and pestle analysis also for the various countries, apart from what all you can gain from having relations with them. So I'll close it here.
Thank you so much, General Rajiv Narayanan. We'll take some questions now. I request each one to be taken about 1 minute to answer. Let's start with General Ravi Shankar. The first question is from Amitesh Behra. As a student of Iyer, I asked a Chinese international relations. I asked a Chinese expert about its failure of Chinese weapons in Operation Sindoor. He smiled and said, next one, we have a business model that we sell the lowest grade of products to third grade countries, average quality of product to developing countries, and top quality product to developed, or we internally consume it. We choose products as per nation status or nation purchasing power index. Your views, sir?
Well, if they had, I'm
General
sure.
Ravi Shankar.
Yeah. Look, the way I look at it, Pakistan is their top priority. And they're heavily invested in Pakistan. Security of Pakistan is their top priority. There are no developing nations. Pakistan is an extension of China. They would have had their best weapons there, period. Right? So, all this nonsense they're telling is not there. And now they've started, if you see, there are reports which are coming out which are extolling Chinese weapons. And these are all planted. And these are all from think tanks of the West, incidentally, which have been infiltrated. You can make them out. For example, Harvard University, which is one of the most infiltrated universities in,
Yes, indeed.
right? That has come out. Harvard Belfer Center has come out with an article today or yesterday, which, extols the Chinese weapon systems. So there is a thing we have to understand that their weapons are useless. Okay, their helicopters are crashing all over the world. You ask the Ghana people, they'll say don't get anyone there because they lost 2 of their ministers. There's no other country which has lost a nuclear submarine in docks. So we should leave it at that.
Thank you, sir. Would either of you like to add to that, General Dushyant?
No, not really. I think we've more or less covered it.
They would be most
okay, let's go to the
because they would be most worried because the defense of Beijing is with exactly the same equipment they have given them, 300 and their radars.
Yeah.
In fact, that's one of the reasons why. No, wait. I think there's an important thing with this touch, which I didn't speak. That's one of the reasons why they are very extra nice to you, incidentally. You.
And this we have discussed a number of
times.
Yeah.
Next question to General Dushyant, please. Dear sir, Recently, we have discovered oil in the Andamans, lithium in JK, gold in Madhya Pradesh. What is the realistic chance of these being extracted? Preliminary, I think.
Okay, yeah. So these have been initial discoveries. One, as far as the oil is concerned, I heard the energy minister, Mr. Puri, speaking directly in a audience which was open forum, where he said that the oil has been discovered, but it has been discovered after a change of policy. In the sense, for the last 20 years, we were actually not exploring. So that process has been reversed, and now the explorations are taking place in a big way. This is part of that. But since it is deep sea, there'll be a lot of technological challenges. So hopefully we should be able to exploit the Andaman Nicobar find. As far as Jabalpur is concerned, gold is concerned, that also has been confirmed by the Archaeological Society of
You know.
India that yes, there is a gold deposit, and in the neighboring district, gold is being Katni or someplace, gold is being extracted. So all in all, it will add to our affluence. And I believe the gold deposits are quite a bit here. As far as lithium is concerned, goes without saying, again, more exploration, more technology has to be deployed. JNK has a security aspect to it; those have to be taken care of. So I would say not immediately, but yeah, soon enough in the next I say 6 to 10 years time frame, we should be able to exploit these. Only
Next question,
advantage which
please.
I feel, only advantage which I feel is that Prime Minister Modi has said these need to be speeded up in his speech. So maybe we will see some faster movement on these areas.
To add to
Sir.
that faster movement is what the bill has said, that the private companies will be permitted to do the extraction.
Yeah.
He has missed out the rare earth elements which have been found in Rajasthan.